Hey everybody, welcome back to The Garage. If this is your first time visiting my channel, please go ahead and click on subscribe and also click on the bell to receive all the updates and activities on my channel. Wow. So what a season we had. If you guys live in the Northeast, you pretty much know exactly what I'm going to get into. December and January, we had everything looked good. We had cold temperatures in place along with some snow, and it looked very good. And then in January, we had a thaw, and then pretty much no storms coming up. And then, excuse me, in February, we had a lot of rain and a lot of warm temperatures, and it kind of really decimated central and southern New Hampshire, and even to some point, northern New Hampshire and central Maine. I've already talked about what happened to me and my family during our family vacation, so I'm not going to rehash that. But then March came along, and really, in a spell of one to 2 weeks, kind of reset the entire region and kind of brought everything back to 100%. I made a comment on Mark Bowe's video when he took a trip that it's amazing how one good trip can make up for a lackluster season. And essentially that's what happened with us, and so in March we took 2 trips. We went up, I want to say the second week of March, and we put on 140 miles in a single day. It was a long day. And then my buddy Mike and I, we went up, I want to say the weekend of March 23rd, up to Colebrook and Stewartson and Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. And we put on 80 miles on a Friday. And then we put 180 miles on Saturday. And at the end of Saturday, we were completely wiped. We had plans to ride on Sunday, but just didn't happen. So we packed up and we headed home. But right now, now we're in April. I think today is April 8th, 9th. And right now, northern New Hampshire and northern Maine and really northern Maine are having the best conditions they've had probably in the last 4 or 5 years. In April, in Aroostook County, which is about 8 hours from me, up in the northern province of Maine, up at the tip. Oh, you're up there. It's probably 8 hours in the truck, but if you read the stories, they've been getting hammered with snow for the last week and a half. I think they've gotten probably between 2 and 3 feet of snow, and they're 100% open. They're ready to go probably until the end of May at this point, the way the temperatures are looking. So if you want to ride, there is plenty of snow out there. You just got to go out there and find it and spend some time traveling. Excuse me, guys. All right, so take a look at the Fusion. That's probably the last time we're going to see it. The Fusion has been sold. It's actually been sold to the person that owns the XE800 that we did all the work on over the summer with. He bought it, and essentially he's going to have that 800 along with the Fusion. So it may be the last time you see it in the garage, but it may not be the last time you see it on my channel. There may be footage of it out on the trail. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment because I've had that sled for, I think this is my 4th year on it. We picked it up. We did a lot of work to it. We stretched it out. We put a 136 on it. We put a wrap on it. We did a lot of content on it, and it was it's been a good sled. It's been completely reliable. It's never left me stranded, even though it's a Fusion. And again, the Fusion name has a horrible reputation out there, but not necessarily is it accurate. Again, a lot of the horror stories go back to the 900. That 600 has been dead reliable. I would take it anywhere. Even though I'm selling it, if I had the opportunity to buy another one, I would do it again without hesitation. So where does that leave us as far as a replacement for the Fusion? Essentially, we're going to do the same thing as we did with the Adventure. Essentially, I'm going to bankroll all my savings and everything else, and in the fall, we'll start looking and maybe look for another something in the Pro Ride chassis, or maybe something in the Axis chassis. Definitely a 600, maybe an 800. It all depends what's available on the market. So we'll see. and this is kind of the funny part of the year. You know, if you have the capital to pick up a used machine, now is the time to do it, because there is just a lot of deals out there. Because now with the offerings from all the manufacturers, you know, there's just a wealth of people trying to dump off their current sled in order to do a snow check or something like that. You know, I'm looking at Craigslist every day. I've become obsessed with it at this point. And the other day, I saw a 2014 Pro R Switchback. I want to say it was an 800, but with 79 miles on it, it has a rack on it, and the guy wants $6 grand for it. How can you pass that up? You know, for $6 grand for a sled with only 80 miles on it, which is essentially brand new. Again, that is just an example of some of the deals that are out there if you have the money and you're ready to go. So there are deals out there. You just got to be ready to act on them. So we'll see. So going into Polaris, did their big release with the 850 and the 129. And I'm actually kind of surprised that they released that in 2019. I'll explain why. Because essentially, for the last 20 years, we'll say, my math may be wrong, Polaris has done major releases on the 5-year mark. So let me explain. So like in 1995, Polaris came out with the XLT10. That was a big thing for them in the XLT chassis. And then in 2000, Polaris came out with the Edge chassis. In 2005, they released the Fusion and the IQ chassis. We all know how that went. And then in 2010, Polaris released the Rush, right? So that with the progressive suspension in the back. In 2010, so in 2015, Polaris then released the Axis, right? So if you look, every 5 years, Polaris is making a big release. So when they released the 850 and the CC in the 129 for a 2019 release, I was actually kind of surprised that they did that. I'm kind of skeptical that Polaris doesn't have something else lined up for their 2020 release, because that's going to be their 65th anniversary, I think. So I'll be very surprised if Polaris doesn't have something in their back pocket for 2020. Maybe it's going to be the return of the 4-stroke. Who knows? You know, Ski-Doo just released their 900 turbo 4-stroke, which everybody was really looking for. Now that Arctic Cat and Yamaha are releasing their turbocharged sleds and everything else, it only made sense for Ski-Doo to come to market with something like that. So if I was to take a guess, I think Polaris is going to come out with a 4-stroke in 2020, or something revolutionary to the Axis. Maybe it's going to be the Axis version 3.0. We'll see. There's been some speculation that because of the CC and the 129, that Polaris may be dropping it. I don't think that's necessarily gonna happen, because they've been very successful for it. Once people do ride it, they love it and they understand why it's like this. So we'll see what happens. So Yamaha, no big releases for 2019. Essentially, all they're doing is releasing updated graphics packages. And if you're wondering why, you have to look at the market in the last 2 or 3 years. And you have to look at Yamaha. Yamaha is probably the most expensive sled out there. So so you take those two variables into play. You have an excess of inventory sitting at their dealers, and then you have a high purchase entry cost. So what it is, a lot of these dealers are sitting on excess inventory that they can't move. So Yamaha realizes that, and essentially what this move is, it's essentially a break to the dealers. At least that's what I think it is. That's what they're marketing as. So what it is, so if Yamaha makes no real big changes in 2019, and they're really not coming out with anything except for graphic packages, right? What they're going to do is, essentially, that's going to allow their dealers to basically take their current inventory of 2018, which is essentially other than graphics is going to be the same as 2019, they then don't have to discount them to basically make room for the 2019 offerings. So that being said, it's a good move for the dealer, so the dealers don't take a loss on inventory that they've been sitting on for over a year. So essentially, that's what that move is for. That's what Yamaha is saying. That's what they're spinning it as. Whether or not it's actually something else now that Arctic Cat has been bought by Textron, who knows where that manufacturing relationship is going to go between Yamaha and Arctic Cat. Maybe Yamaha is going to make the decision to pull their manufacturing back in-house and start building their own chassis again. Who knows? Or at the very worst, and I really hope that this doesn't happen, because if it does, it would be devastating to the industry, a exit from Yamaha in the snowmobiling world. Let's hope that's not what's going to happen, but I have a suspicion that may be the end game as well. So we'll see. You never know. So essentially, that's it. I hope you guys had a good season. Hopefully, you're still riding. If there's any thoughts, questions, concerns, go ahead and leave them in the comments box. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day. Talk to you later.